According to the Bureau of HIV/AIDS, Vietnam's Ministry of Health, the fund for Vietnam's in HIV prevention activities are diminishing and will stop by 2020. Vietnam is facing the challenge of finding solutions to maintain the supply of goods and services against HIV and reach the target of terminating the disease by 2030. One solution for Vietnam is mobilizing domestic sources to support effective and sustainable programs. The involvement of the private sector or social enterprises in the field of supply of goods and services against HIV would generate innovation and greater efficiency for social activities. This is also an opportunity for innovation in business, technology, and social solutions become richer and more efficient.
Khu vực tư nhân sẽ đảm bảo được hai yếu tố quan trọng trong việc là phát triển bền vững của thị trường đối với lĩnh vực là sức khỏe công cộng. Thứ nhất là phải có lĩnh vực tư nhân tham gia thì mới có thể có sự phát triển bền vững. Bởi vì một cái thị trường đối với cả lĩnh vực sức khỏe cộng đồng không thể dựa mãi vào những cái sự trợ giá của các tổ chức quốc tế hoặc là của chính phủ. Nó phải có sự tham gia của tư nhân nó mới đảm bảo tính bền vững. Thứ hai, khu vực tư nhân trên nguyên tắc là họ phải kiếm được lợi nhuận thì đấy lại là cái vùng đất cho họ sáng tạo. Khi mà họ buộc phải kiếm được lợi nhuận từ những lĩnh vực tưởng như là khó thì họ sẽ phải tạo ra những cái sáng tạo đổi mới để có thể giảm được giá thành, để tạo ra được cái cách thức phân phối hiệu quả hơn.
In today's program, we'll learn more about the role of private sector in contributing creative ideas for HIV prevention activities in Vietnam through the conversations with Ms. Kimberley Green, Chief of Party of Healthy Market Project in Vietnam. Hello and welcome to Sharing Vietnam on VTC10 Netviet. I'm Nhật. In the program today, we have a talk to Ms. Kimberley Green, Chief of Party, Healthy Market Projects, and she will share about the topic of the innovation for sustainability of the HIV response in Vietnam. Thank you, Ms. Kimberley Green, for joining our program today. First of all, what do you think about the role of the private sectors and the civil society in supporting and developing the HIV response in Vietnam?
You know, it's really important to have a multi-sectoral response for HIV because it implicates all elements of society. And really now more than ever, it's more important to have the private sector and civil society engaged. You know, really Vietnam's gone through a transformation in the last 10 years. It's been incredibly successful in addressing HIV and has had a substantial amount of external donor support, which has been very helpful in reducing new HIV infections and increasing the proportion of people living with HIV on treatment. However, there's been a recent reduction in external funding from donors. And as a result, the government's working very hard to generate domestic resources for the HIV response. And the key actors here, of course, are the government through social health insurance, but also very important is the private sector and civil society. Here the private sector is becoming more and more sensitized and engaged. And for civil society, over the last 10 years, there's been amazing work in developing and supporting CBOs, community-based organizations. These organizations are really fantastic and are becoming stronger and stronger every day.
So from your point of view, how can the private enterprise and organizations can involve actively and effectively in growing and developing the market for the HIV-related products and services?
That's a great question. So there are a number of different ways. The first way, as I mentioned, is through corporate social responsibility. There are some great local companies here in Vietnam that are aware of the situation of HIV and feel compelled to contribute to it by making donations in kind or direct financial donations. The second, as I mentioned, is more of the shared values approach or social enterprise, where the private sector is engaged in providing, for example, loans or support to community-based organizations to develop local businesses that are helpful to the community, and where the community-based organizations can use their profits or income to sustain their community work. And the third is really pure private sector corporate, where, for example, a local condom manufacturer, and this is what's happening right now, local condom manufacturers, they've been exporting their condoms in the past because there was really not much of a market. Through the funding support from external donors, most condoms were available for free or highly subsidized. And now the situation is quite different. And local condom manufacturers see there's a local market. And so they're manufacturing and now selling high quality local condoms that are starting to do very well.
So in your opinion, is Vietnam ready for the social enterprise solutions for the health and development issues?
Yes, absolutely. I think this is the perfect opportunity in Vietnam for social enterprise approaches. First of all, there's a very young and dynamic group of entrepreneurs that are engaged in a lot of different areas, particularly, and several years ago, starting in high tech. So in developing new apps, new games, and really working through social media. And now some of the new young entrepreneurs are really interested in using their skills or business skills to also impact upon social needs of Vietnamese, including in the areas of health and HIV. Secondly, there's a new law, the new enterprise law. And this law actually specifies in details what social enterprise is for the first time and how they can operate, and also how they can receive tax breaks and tax incentives.
Recently, the United States Agency for International Development USAID held a ceremony to launch Innovation Fund of Healthy Market in Ho Chi Minh City. Innovation Fund is an activity under the project of Healthy Markets to provide an opportunity for organizations and businesses involved in HIV commodity and services by contributing ideas or investing in the innovative ideas. The project established a board of examiners of entrepreneurs and experts in the field of HIV to choose the idea. The project will provide financial and technical advice while ensuring sustainability during the implementation process.
Thì tại sao mà cái dự án Healthy Markets này đưa ra một cái quỹ như vậy? Bởi vì chúng tôi biết rằng là các tổ chức về cung cấp dịch vụ HIV/AIDS ở Việt Nam thì trong cái cộng đồng đó có rất nhiều những cái sáng kiến mà chúng ta chưa biết được, nên chúng tôi cũng muốn là sử dụng một cái quỹ, mà cái quỹ này mới chỉ là gần như là cái seed fund, tức là cái hỗ trợ ban đầu thôi, nhưng chúng tôi sau đó muốn là những cái ý tưởng mà chúng tôi có được để các bạn ấy có thể phát triển ra, và khi mà cái ý tưởng đó phát triển ra và có thể thực thi, có thể khả thi và có thể áp dụng một cách rộng rãi, thì chúng tôi muốn liên kết tất cả những cái ý tưởng đó, những cái tổ chức đó với những cái nhà đầu tư, những cái nhà đầu tư xã hội lớn hơn để họ có thể tiếp tục cái duy trì để phát triển được cái ý tưởng của họ. Thì đấy là cái mà mục tiêu mà chúng tôi rất là muốn đạt tới.
Targeted subjects of Innovation Fund are profit business, social enterprise, and the non-profit organization operating in Vietnam and had many creative ideas. Innovative Fund is an important bridge to promote innovative solutions from communities and companies involved in the increasing demand and enabling supply for the HIV products and services.
Trước đây thì mặc định là những cái nhà nước ra hoặc là các tổ chức phi chính phủ xin được cái gì đấy, tự làm, tự cung và tự cầu trong một cái sản phẩm nhất định đối với một nhóm đối tượng nhất định. Nhưng đây là cái quỹ sáng tạo này, nó như là một luồng gió mới vào toàn thể cái thị trường, giúp những cái nhóm đối tượng chẳng hạn như tư nhân, các tổ chức khác hoặc là kể cả các nhóm khác để tham gia vào cái quỹ này để giúp cái thị trường nó thúc đẩy tốt đẹp hơn dựa vào những ý tưởng kinh doanh mới mẻ của mình.
To help private companies enter the market with favorable conditions, the initial support of Vietnamese government's policies on tax break are essential. Enterprises themselves also need to recognize that this is a good opportunity because market for HIV products is very large and stable, especially when they are getting support from social media.
Thứ nhất là họ phải thay đổi nhận thức trong chính bản thân, cái cách họ tư duy về lĩnh vực này. Vì xưa nay lĩnh vực là hàng hóa dự phòng HIV và các lĩnh vực về sức khỏe cộng đồng nói chung không phải là lĩnh vực chú tâm của các doanh nghiệp tư nhân, vì họ sẽ tính đến những yếu tố lợi nhuận và những cái lĩnh vực mà dễ dàng kiếm lợi nhuận hơn. Thứ hai, mặc dù doanh nghiệp có thể thay đổi nhận thức, nhưng thời gian trước mắt vẫn cần có sự hỗ trợ của chính phủ và các cái tổ chức nói chung trong cái việc tạo ra cái cơ chế chính sách, thậm chí là vẫn còn tiếp tục tạo ra những cái hình thức công tư phối hợp để giảm bớt cái gánh nặng về đầu tư của khối tư nhân.
So we just have gone through a clip introducing about the Innovation Fund. So why do you think that Innovation Fund is essential for Vietnam at this stage?
So, we recognize right now that in the HIV response, as I mentioned, the external donor funding is reducing quite significantly. At the same time, the environment for social enterprise is really growing. So we see an opportunity for an innovation fund. This fund provides the opportunity for young entrepreneurs or community-based organizations who have great ideas that haven't yet received funding or support to apply for resources and receive mentoring, support, and also links to eventual additional capital if those ideas are successful. So for the Innovation Fund, we're looking at, this is a starting process, so seed funding up to $80,000 combined between a grant and loan. So we're looking at this mix between granting and loaning because this is really different. We're really looking at sustainability. There are lots of great ideas that should receive grant funding. But here we really want to see ideas that come forward that can be sustainable in the long run.
So what kind of support do young and innovative enterprises need to implement the enterprising ideas that can benefit the community?
Well, we're looking for creative ideas. I think here we want to hear from people who might be working on an interesting app, for example, or an e-doctor program, or some interesting idea about working with community outreach, but where there's an opportunity for outreach workers to make money and make income through their work. So we have some ideas of what we'd be interested in, but we're really open. We really want to see what comes forward from this dynamic and creative group of community-based organizations.
So currently, are there any kind of feasible ideas and creative initiatives been submitted to the Innovation Fund, and how has the Innovation Fund supported them?
We're right now in the process of receiving the concept notes, so we haven't had a chance to review them yet. And those that are shortlisted will then put together a pitch, and they'll pitch to a group of experts their ideas, and based on those pitches and their business plans, then we'll select those that will be supported moving forward. And then after that, of course, we'll provide intensive support and monitoring to track how they perform over time. Before the launch of the Innovation Fund, we already heard different groups talking about really interesting ideas. And as I mentioned, there are some that we're aware of, but we're also really interested in those that we're not. Very creative ideas, something that no one's thought of before.
So last but not least, what will be the vision for the Innovation Fund that you expect in the long term?
For us, we really want to see the Innovation Fund have a long life. And so we're working really hard with local businesses and others to leverage additional resources. So, there's two tracks for us. One is that as we work with the first phase of recipients, we'll work to link them to additional capital so that they can scale their approach and continue to thrive. However, we want to continue to seed new ideas as we move forward so that there's robust ideas and expansion of the social enterprise approach across many different areas in Vietnam. So we will definitely be leveraging additional resources to support the fund.
Thank you, Ms. Kimberly Green, for your sharing, and I wish your Innovation Fund will develop and further support Vietnam in the future, especially in the HIV communities and services related. And that also the end of our program Sharing Vietnam. For comments and feedbacks, please send it to sharingvietnam@netviet2b.net. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again tomorrow.